Hello, gorgeous human beings. We are back in day number 16 of 100 Days of Persuasion to Land Corporate Clients, and we are continuing with the theory about cognitive biases, because yesterday we talked about what cognitive biases are, what you need to know about them, and we looked in more detail at the really important cognitive bias of status quo bias. Now today I want to dive into another one of these, but I realized yesterday I didn't do this. I didn't introduce myself. I should say hello, I'm Miriam Gilbert, the founder of the Impactfulness Lab, where I help coaches and consultants land corporate clients with grace and ease and none of the cold calling, awkward networking, or, playing office politics that other people tell you to do. Anyway, what I'm sharing in these little tips, tricks and hacks is small adjustments that you can make to your marketing, to your conversations, to your outreach messages, literally everything, every communication that you have with your corporate prospect, so that it becomes easier for them to say yes to you. And let's dive in today's session where we look at another super common cognitive bias. So, very quick recap. The cognitive biases, they are all about how your brain works, and they have developed as a survival mechanism because our brains are wired for survival and we need to make quick decisions. Therefore, our brains have developed mental shortcuts, like cut-throughs that are meant to get you fast from one situation, oh gosh, there is something moving in the dark, to I've made a decision and I've taken action. I've decided, is this a saber-toothed tiger or is this just a branch waving in the wind? And I don't need to run away. So the brain has developed these shortcuts called cognitive biases, but sometimes, like in the real world, when we take a shortcut, we end up in the wrong place, and that is what cognitive biases do for us, where we take an action, make a decision, or behave in certain ways that are less than optimal for our situation. You need to know about these because the cognitive biases are super prevalent. Well, for everybody really. You will recognize them in everyday life in yourself if you pay attention, but they are super prevalent in corporates as well. And that means that because the corporates have lots of people and their biases come together, they bounce onto each other and they amplify it. So that's why you need to understand them, and we have already looked at the status quo bias, and today we're going to look at loss aversion. Loss aversion, that is the tendency to feel losses more acutely. So a loss hurts us emotionally more than a gain of the same value, making us more risk averse than a rational calculation would. So for example, if you lose £10 or $10 or whatever your currency is, you would feel that loss. It would weigh on you more than if you walked along the street and found a £10 or $10 note. Strange, isn't it? But that is what loss aversion is about. Again, it's one of these biases that has evolved because our brain tries to keep us safe, and in prehistoric times, losing something like important, like for example food, would be a a big problem, whereas finding was so rare that you didn't really need to pay as much attention to it. Let me give you some example of loss aversion though. See, we already mentioned this one, that we are more upset about losing $10 than we are happy about finding $10, say, on the street. We're also, just the idea of a loss is enough to create a strong reaction. I mean, just sit and think, if you were to lose, I don't know, $500 right now, you'd go, ugh, or whatever is a significant sum for you. If you were to just lose it out of your purse or your wallet, that would be painful, right? And just the idea creates a reaction. FOMO, the fear of missing out. So that's not even an actual loss, it's an imagined possible loss, not even of something that you have, but something that you might be missing out for. So FOMO is a really common marketing technique because of the loss aversion. It's a bit more difficult to create when you sell to corporate, yet it is something to bear in mind when you are dealing with prospects. So, how does it apply in corporates? You see, dealing with loss aversion bias in corporate prospects, what you can do, the first thing you can do is you can create safety, because in corporates, everybody wants to cover their butts. That's right, everybody wants to be safe. And therefore, if you can create a feeling of safety, then corporates will be much more willing to work with you. Now, that is, you can create that a number of ways, and we'll get into that in a moment when we look at examples. So you need to show why you're the safe option, and that means provide clear, precise and tangible results and timings. So don't tell your prospects that you can improve communication or create better collaboration or improve team effectiveness. Those things are far too vague, so don't bother with that. And what's more, you don't just give the clear, precise and tangible results. You describe exactly how you will improve collaboration. What will people see that is a sign of improved collaboration. You won't just tell them that communication will be better. You will show them exactly how they will know that communication has improved, and you will show them exactly why they would agree that now, after working with you, their teams are much more effective. And on top of that, to make it super safe or present you as being super safe, give them timings. Tell them by what time of working with you, after what time, maybe after a week, maybe after a month, maybe even after a day, what results they would have received by that time. This latter part, the bit about timing, is something that very few people in the improving teams, improving communication, improving those kind of niches actually ever talk about. So that will give them a huge amount of confidence. You can also point out the successes that others may have had using your techniques, using your approach, using your proposals. That can be very effective if you have case studies, both if you have your own case studies or if you haven't got your own case studies as yet. Look for some famous ones, look for some big organizations who have resolved similar challenges and how they have done it, and even just highlighting how your approach is similar to theirs gives your prospects a lot of confidence and fights their loss aversion bias. The last bit, this is a massive one, is very underrated by many people or not mentioned at all. And this is all about showing your confidence. Confidence is very attractive. Confidence gives, if you appear confident, it gives your prospect confidence in you. That obviously, I don't mean being arrogant or anything, just confidence in your abilities, in your skills, and in the fact that you can create actual solutions. The number one way I teach my students to show this confidence is by indicating a potential ROI that's a return on investment that your prospect could get from working with you. That is a massive show of confidence, and it's very intriguing to them because, again, not many people in our niches ever provide a potential ROI. That is a big convincer. So what's next? And if you want to work with corporates, but you're not sure if they buy what you offer, or you're not sure if you have what it takes to sell corporates, then I'm here to help, because I help coaches and consultants identify exactly what they can offer, how to package it, and how to find the right prospect, and then how to have non-icky sales conversations so that you can land 4- and 5-figure contracts in as little as 4 to 30 days. All the while, you can make a massive impact on the world because you're reaching so many people in one go. So if you are a coach who can get results for individual clients and you want to play a bigger game, DM me here to find out if you could sell to corporates and what your first steps should be. Or you can join us in the 4-part complimentary learning experience where I share all you need to land your first or your next corporate client in as little as 30 days. Check out the link here. I will pop it down below as well, and I can't wait to see you in the next one, which is about another very important, super common and yet often overlooked bias that stops corporates to buy and actually stops humans to behave rationally too.